Hi, I'm Lucy Paget, and by way of an introduction to movement medicine, I want to share with you three of the core principles in movement medicine, and I call them the three S's. So the first one is subtle energy through to strength. The second is sacred connection, and the third is sensation. So let's go back to subtle energy through to strength. So we live in these beautiful physical bodies, and our physical bodies require that we pay attention to everything from our pelvic floor to our ankle health to our cranial bones and our teeth. And we are all spiritual beings. There is a spectrum, and it is really important, I believe, that we really embrace that spectrum and we pay attention both to our strength, our physicality, our flexibility, decreasing inflammation in our body, right through to the subtle and the energetic that we can experience with beautiful energy movements taken from thousands of years ago, cultures like the Chinese culture where they developed Qigong and Tai Chi, through to Western cultures that have developed some beautiful energy movements as well. So it's really important, the whole spectrum, and I teach the whole spectrum. This morning, I was actually interviewing an old friend who's been a physical therapist for over 30 years, and we had this really amazing conversation all about the pelvic floor. And yesterday, I was teaching a class where we imagined taking the word witch off of a shelf and dusting it off, because the word witch has been covered in so much slander and given so much negative connotations to a word which can be very, very beautiful, and we can explore some amazing magic through that word. So movement medicine really embraces the spectrum of subtle energy through to strength. The second is sensation. In movement, there's constant change. And in the constant change, there is an importance of paying attention to sensation as your guidance system, as your navigation. When you pay attention to sensation, you start to be able to feel what's right for your body and what's not right for your body. And what may be right and useful and healthy for your body 1 year or 1 day may be different the next day. For example, there may be a time in your life where you really love running, doing marathons, or maybe that time was past. And at a different time in your life, you might be better doing yoga or more gentle movements, or even just going for a walk. So when we trust how we feel within ourselves and we follow that, then we know what to choose in terms of how we move our bodies. And so I teach people to come into a sense of trust, to come back into sensation. And it sounds really simple. It's like, well, of course, but it's one of those things that actually a lot of us numb out. A lot of us, our stress response is actually to avoid feeling, because feelings can be really uncomfortable and inconvenient. And so sometimes we actually have to tune back in. So sometimes it's a stress response to life stressors, and sometimes we don't even know we're doing it. Maybe we had surgery in one area, maybe we had some physical trauma in an area, and as a way of a coping mechanism, we just become a little bit numbed out, oblivious to places in the body. So there's an interesting journey of reconnection that we take, and some exercises that you can do to actually go through your body and see how you are doing, see how checked in you are, and how aware you are of places. Some places you may be hyper aware, some places you may be less aware. So the first is coming back in to awareness so that you can use sensation again and again and again, and learn lots of different movement tools, movement exercises, so that you can choose what's right for you. The third is sacred connection, the third of the S's. Sacred connection. Imagine an infinity symbol. And in this infinity symbol, on one side, you have your need for your time to yourself. Maybe your time to yourself is your recharging time. Maybe it's your creative work time. We all need a certain amount of time to ourselves. And then, on the other side of the infinity symbol, we have our need for connection. Some of us need more connection, some need less of a connection. And through connection, we also can recharge. Connection also gives us social nourishment. Connection gives us so much. And we need both. And at different times, we need more of one, more of the other. At different times, we can't give ourselves the one that we need. But there is this constant weaving. And in an ideal world, we would be able to pivot to what we need at any one time and have people generous enough around us to give us that support and that ability, and also the self-confidence to choose which you need, to say no, to say yes, to say no, to say yes, so that you can place yourself where you need. But here's something really interesting, and here is a way that you can give yourself both, the nourishment of both. And this is what I bring to every class that I teach. And it's what you can also bring to experiences like this. So let me explain. In our infinity symbol, where we have our need for time alone, time and connection, there is the point in the very center. And in the very center, I call that point sacred connection or spacious connection. The kind of connection that you can have with someone or a group of people where you can also feel completely free and spacious to be yourself, to fill your being, the energetic of your being, and the energetic and the spaciousness of your mind, as though you had time to yourself, but actually there's someone else. So we get that often when we have a really close relationship in our family or with a loved one. But sometimes we don't get that. Sometimes the person or the people that we're around all the time cramp us a little bit. But when you come to movement medicine class, it is really important to me that we create that kind of environment that feels as though you have the spaciousness of your being, the sacredness of your being, as well as connection. And it's a kind of wisdom, and it's a kind of listening, and it's a kind of showing up where you are open to being real and open to hearing what's real for others and open to moving in a way that makes you feel as though you are free to move in the way that you want. So those are my 3 core S's that I bring to every movement medicine class.